In this section of the video, we're going to be looking at the assignment, links and guidance. What we're hoping to do is to try and give you some sort of support as to how to structure your report for your assessment. What we're going to look at is how we can separate this out into a few areas so that we can focus our efforts on these. So first of all, we're going to look at who or what is your client. We're going to dive into that a little bit further by looking at what are their requirements. Now, as you look through your scenario, you should see that there is snippets of information that will relate to who you are targeting in terms of this assessment and assignment brief. A key point I always suggest is taking that scenario and copying it out of the actual assignment brief itself and into your report. Use this as a way of introducing what the problem is and how you might be going about resolving the issue, and also to give an overview as to your understanding of what the problem is. Then you can look at who it is that they are targeting. Think about the target audiences we mentioned about earlier on in the video. Who are they? Who are your individuals that you're looking, or that the scenario is looking at promoting to? Then we move on to the second part, which is our planning stage. What are our timescales? Have the client explicitly said that there is a timescale in which they want the social media to be available? What are the timescales in terms of when they want to be posting? Companies will set milestones in order for them to be able to know that they've got deadlines to which they need to achieve. Then we move on to keywords. Keywords are important as these will allow us to ensure that any posts that we create target the identified target audiences well and captures their search criteria if they're using any form of search engine.
When you create your report, you should use screenshots to show evidence of the words that you've searched for using the Keyword Planner tool. Try to remember to use both individual words and a collection or selection of keywords together to make a sentence, as this will show the difference in competition using selections of words and sentences.
Next, we look into the posting schedule. As we mentioned earlier on in this video, posting schedules are key to the success of any campaign that a company might be looking to use in order to promote their goods, products and services. The posting schedule should contain information as to what sort of content the company wants to post onto the social media platform, what platform that they're going to be posting on, when they're going to post it, and most importantly, why they're trying to post the content they are. Next is the ethical and legal considerations to be planned. Think about the posts that the company might be placing on social media platform. Is there any potential opportunities to insult, upset, alienate any parts of society through the advertising of a product, good or service that the company is doing?
When you create your report, you should include information about legislation that's key to any sort of social media posting. Think about things like GDPR, Data Protection Act, Defamation Act, and copyright. These are all legislations and acts that can have an impact on what companies will be able to post on their social media platforms. You need to record this in your reports so it's clear to your clients so that they understand.
Then we move into the third section, which is looking at reviewing and reflecting. Discuss with your client whether your plan meets the target audiences that they have in mind, whether it meets the needs of that company.
Inside your report, you should be looking at creating what's known as a meeting minutes schedule. This should record any conversation that you have between you and your client. This document should be laid out in the following way. You should have a heading of the members that you expect to attend the meeting, so you and your client. Then a heading of those that attended the session. So in most instances, this would be you and your client. Then you'd have a heading for the agenda, which would identify what you want to discuss with your client. And then you'd have a heading of the minutes. This is where you record what actually was said in relation to your agendable items. So if you have a conversation with your client about maybe changing the time of a post, you'd need to record this information in this section.
Reflecting back on this feedback should allow you to then look at the posts that you're planning on putting up and making any improvements to them in order to meet not only your client's goals, but also to meet the needs of the target audiences.
We then move on to section 4, which is making sure we're clear on the selection of the right platform. In your report, you're going to need to identify what platforms you are going to be choosing to use for your client. Identify why you feel that these are appropriate for your client. Give examples where you've done some research, as this will help convince your client that it's the right platform for them to use. Then we need to look at how you'd implement your plan. You need to show screenshots of how and where you've created your tweets and your posts. We then move on to gathering feedback in terms of interaction between our posts that we've created and uploaded onto our platforms of choice. This information will allow you to reflect back on your plan and see whether that's been a success or not. We then move on to section 5, which is analytics and reviews. Analytics are programs that allow you, the social media guru, to look at the success of not only the posts, the interaction of the posts, but maybe make changes where needed to any future posts. Sites like Google, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook have this built into their programs, and you can pull this data down quite easily. In your reports, you're going to be given some of this data from your tutors. This data is based in some part on truth and some part on make-believe. It is down to you to reflect on this interaction of your posts and look at how successful they have been. Upon this reflection, you should look at suggesting any improvements in the future. Finally, discuss how the data will support any improvements that you're going to make in the future. Within your report, you might want to reflect on the timing and the times of the day in which you've made your posts, whether these were useful to the company or actually they may need to be changed. Consider the content that you placed as well. Look at whether your images that you used were appropriate for the platform that they were going on. Whether you need to source professional images or videos to be created to be placed on your social media platform for the client. Also, you need to reflect on the wording that's been used. Is it appropriate for the target audiences, or does it need to be rewritten and reflected upon?